So we are excited. We are the Integrated Success Coaching team, and I am excited to share with you. We have two of us here this morning, and Kaylee and I are going to introduce ourselves. I'll start first. My name is Melinda, and I'm an integrated success coach. And my undergrad is at UK. I have a bachelor's in human development and a master's in counseling, and I've had the joy of working with students at many different points and seasons of life. And it is exciting to be here at UK. For me, virtually, my entire position is virtual. And so I can very much identify with the realities of being an online learner and an online professional. And so I'm excited to be able to share a little bit of my experience, and then to learn from you guys, to hear your experiences through your questions and through your ideas as we work together. So I will turn the opportunity to share over to Kaylee.
Hi, everybody. Thank you again, as Melinda said, for coming and wanting to learn from us. I am Kaylee Palomino. I am a grad student and also an integrated success coach. I'm currently studying sport and exercise psychology, but most of my stuff is actually in person, so a little different from Melinda. But yeah, that's who I am. And again, I'm super excited to be here.
So as you can see, our co-presenter Molly is also a part of our team, and she'll be sharing this afternoon. And we are a group of 12 strong. And so as coaches, we are excited to be able to partner with students as you move through your journeys at UK. And so Kaylee's going to share a little bit about the next slide about what integrated success coaching is.
Yes, so integrated success coaching. We meet one-on-one with students, and so students will be meeting with trained certified coaches who are ready to help you set and achieve goals across different areas of your life. We focus on academics, health and wellness, career readiness, leadership and involvement, financial wellness, and honestly, really anything that you are interested in setting a goal around and hoping to achieve. We can schedule appointments very easily. You just go into My UK. There are virtual and in-person options. And then we also have group and individual coaching as well. And if you need any more information, you can just look up the website right there, or honestly just Google UKY Integrated Success Coaching, and all of the information will be there, and you will see instructions for how to set up an appointment and all of that. It's very easy. We are super great people. We're open to talking about anything and talking to anyone. So you can never go wrong with meeting with any of us.
And I think sharing our why for coaching, for me personally, like I know that being a college student, it involves so many different pieces, and learning new things. And so being able to have the chance to partner with another person as they're navigating those decisions and navigating that learning process, it's just powerful. I mean, college students, no matter who they are or what their story is, are doing amazing things, and there's just so much opportunity. So that's kind of my why. Kaylee, what's your why for coaching?
Yeah, so that's such a good question. My why is because I am a first generation college student. So I understand how hard it is to navigate college just in general, but also for first generation college students as well, how hard it is to navigate when you don't really have anyone around you who's been there, done that. So that was honestly why I was interested in pursuing being an integrated success coach, just learning how can I help other people who might not know how to get through college or how to do it well, how to take care of themselves through the process. And so, I enjoy what I do. And, my why definitely comes from, having experienced just college being hard.
I hear you. And to that end, as an online professional, that adds a whole nother layer of complexity. And so we recognize that you, as distance learners, online learning students are navigating yet another layer of difference. And so coming up with those unique and individual strategies and those creative strategies to navigate things is one of the things that I really love about it too. We definitely encourage you guys to consider meeting with us one-on-one or in one of the groups. It's definitely a service that's available to you. Today, we're going to go over general tips and tools. The great thing about the individual opportunity is then one-to-one, we can work together to make that tip and tool specific to your situation. And so Kaylee's going to share a little bit about what actually integrated success coaching is. It's like a big word, right? But what does it really mean? So Kaylee, would you tell us a little bit about what integrated success coaching is?
Sure. So again, as we kind of talked about a little bit already, it's a tool for all UK students. Doesn't matter if, you're in person or virtual. It's a no stress, no judgment partnership. We really want students to dream, discover, design, and deliver their best lives, but also do all of those things academically, socially, and everything in between. And it is oftentimes led by the students. You determine and drive the focus of each session. And then lastly, students connect with and grow the best of themselves in the world around them. And so in integrated success coaching, we really want students to learn about themselves. That is like one thing that if anything happens in a session, we just want students to learn about themselves and learn how you work best, under what conditions, and how can you make your own learning and your time work best for you. So through coaching, we ask a lot of questions just so students can understand themselves better. And so again, we partner with the student and make sure that you're doing all that you need to be successful.
Thanks, Kaylee. You got it. And so now that you guys kind of have some groundwork, a foundation for what integrated success coaching is, let's kind of experience a little bit of that as a group together. The first thing that we want to talk about is our relationship with time. We've all got the same 24/7, right? And yet you look around and you notice people are moving through that 24/7 differently. And I bet if we looked at our own lives, there are different points along the way where we said, you know what, life feels like it's in flow. It's moving the way that I want to. I don't feel like I'm doing too much. I don't feel like I'm too bored. And then there are other times where it's like, dang, like I feel like I'm slogging, or I'm just so frazzled. And how we move through our time and how we relate with our time can be one of those powerful key factors in helping us get into that flow state. And so today we're going to look at what are our learning objectives. We want to, number one, learn an efficient strategy for using time. Now, there's going to be multiple different types of strategies, and today we're just presenting one of them. And that's one of the beauties of coaching is that it can be as creative as we want it to be, and it can be as individualized. And so today we're going to share a strategy for you and consider how you could use it in your life. How would it work? And then what are the ways that maybe you need to tweak it, or what parts wouldn't work for you or make sense? And then the second objective is we're going to look at specifically what is the focus study session framework and how does it help us with effective learning? So that's kind of what we're going to jump into over the rest of our time together. Kaylee, would you like to share a little bit more about this?
Yeah, of course. So a lot of our students come in and say, I am a huge procrastinator. What do I do to overcome this? So, we in our sessions talk a lot about how, as students, we kind of get caught up in maybe the social life or just Netflix or the chilling and things like that. And our productivity takes a toll because we are procrastinating. So through coaching, we come up with a plan to avoid procrastination and honestly be more effective with the time that we're spending on our homework, on our assignments, studying, and all of the things for school.
I'd be curious for all of us here, what are some things that look like procrastination for you? Because procrastination can look many different kinds of ways. Like it can look like zoning out on Netflix. It can also look like I've got a task list of 12 chores at home and I'm doing all those 12 chores, but I'm not getting to the thing that I'm prioritizing. And so procrastination has lots of different faces. Somebody shared with me this idea that you can be a productive procrastinator. And I thought, wait a minute, what? A productive procrastinator? And it's just this idea that procrastination is a task that takes us away from what our priorities are. And it's a really common reality of our life right now, right? And so I love how this little graphic says a mystical land where 99% of all human productivity, motivation, and achievement is stored is tomorrow. I mean, how many of us can identify with that, like that thinking or feeling, I'll just do that later, I'll just do that tomorrow. Procrastination really can be that hurdle that keeps us from our goals. And so the cool thing is that there's ways around it. I don't know if you guys have ever felt like this, kiddo, but tomorrow it does not deliver. And so we have the moment that we are in, and it's exciting to be able to use those moments towards our priorities. So the lenses of efficiency and effectiveness are what we're going to look at today. So, because like I said earlier, we've all got 24/7, right? And so if we think through how can we efficiently move through our time and how can we effectively move through our time, that gives us a different intention. It gives us a different focus. And so I'm wondering, if you think about it, how intentional do you feel like you are with your time currently? And I'd be curious if anybody wants to share in the chat, like if you were going to put it on a scale of 1 to 10, like how intentional would you say you are with your time? Are you intentional 50% of the time, 60%, 100%? I know for me, it fluctuates, to be honest. Like there are times where my intention is probably, on average, I'd say it's probably around 75%. There are times where it dips. And then there are times where I might get up there to like 85, 90%, but I'm definitely not at the 100% mark. Kaylee, what about you? Where do you feel like your intention?
Yeah, I put it in the chat, but I would say on average, much like you, 70% of the time, I'm very effective and efficient with my time. On my best days, which is rare, I would say probably rocking at 90. Mm-hmm. On my worst days, maybe I like to nap. So,
yes. Well, you know what? Like, I appreciate your openness and we're just trying to be real that, time and time management and learning management, it's dynamic, it's changing. And so being able to be intentional on a continued basis is one of those things we want to look at. And that's how some of these tools are going to help us to be intentional on a more routine basis. And so one of the things that we are going to jump into for our time is the focused study session. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, when I connected with it, it was kind of a game changer. And I have to be honest, I didn't connect with it until I got officially into this job. I moved through high school, college, and grad school and had not heard of the focused study session. Now I'd had different tools and strategies, but it was a new thing for me. And it's been a real helpful game changer. Not that I'm studying for a class, because right now I'm not, but it definitely is helpful for me in a lot of different tasks. So Kaylee, what about you? When did you first hear about the focused study session?
Yeah, so I definitely heard about it starting this job. Of course, I did have some strategies if I needed to study through school. But, once I figured out this focused study plan, some of it, planning out, that was the biggest piece of the focused study plan that I connected with most so that I could be effective with my time was actually planning. Okay, I'm going to sit down and study for 2 hours, but what do I need to get accomplished in those 2 hours? It's so much easier to put it on paper than keep it in my head and be like, okay, I got to read this. I have to take this quiz. I have to do this. So the planning part helps me stay organized. Yeah.
I love how you shared kind of jokingly, but seriously, like so many of us have not necessarily had the requirement or necessity prior to coming to college of learning how to study or learning how to learn. And so like, that's a real kind of mindset shift. It's like, wait a minute, okay, I'm the architect of my time. And so I'm the architect of my learning. And that's why I love the focus study session is it really gives you like a how-to path through that. Because honestly, all of us are on that process of becoming our own architects. So let's look at the focus study session tool. Kaylee and I are going to swap back and forth, kind of explaining it and the steps. And if you guys have questions about it, please feel free to put those in the chat. Yeah, let's just kind of jump in. Kaylee, do you want to take the plan step since you kind of jumped a little bit?
Yeah. So, the plan section is just spending a few minutes to write down your goals for your study session. So if you have an exam coming up and okay, I have a whole chapter of reading that I need to review, just writing that down and saying, oh, all right, I'm planning my session to where I am accommodating for the fact that I have to read this chapter. And then I also have a quiz to take. I have, another class to read for, and just making sure you write those things down, kind of like a to-do list, really, but specifically for your study session so that you can keep everything organized and you're not wasting, 5 minutes figuring out, okay, what is the reading for today? Or what's the quiz that I need to take and things like that. If you have it all written down, you can just jump right into your study session.
Awesome. And so then once you have an outline for what you want to accomplish or what you want to output for that study session, then you get to break it up into chunks of 30 or 50 minutes. And this is the actual active studying, active learning time. And so say at the beginning, you planned out, you've got 4 things that you want to accomplish over your study session. And so for the first round of your study session, you're going to pick one of those tasks. Say you want to outline the first half of your chapter in bio. So you write that at the top. You're like, outline the first chapter in bio. Decide how many minutes you want to put towards that task. Do you want to put 25 minutes? Do you want to put 50 minutes? But basically kind of keeping it in that general kind of time frame. And then using whatever strategies that make that content come alive. So some of us can look and just read a chapter, and it just kind of comes quickly and easily. Others of us do really well with actually more hearing it. And so maybe there's a video out there that covers the same concept that you want to listen to, but it's basically being intentional about choosing your active learning strategy during the focus study session time, and then committing to utilizing it during that time. The other tip I always suggest that students do is have a distraction container. And a distraction container can be something as simple as a short notepad or sticky note next to you. It can be another tab on your browser. But basically, whenever you have a thought or an awareness of something that's distracting from your focus, you just jot it down. And then you return back to what it is that you're going to be working on. And so what that does is it gives you the chance to acknowledge the distraction, but set it down and put it aside so that then you can return back to the work that you're doing. And then when you get to your break step, which Kaylee's going to talk a little bit about, it'll give you the chance to return to that distraction list. And if there's really anything important or stuff that you want to spend time on during your break, you can utilize it then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, just speaking to the distraction container before I get into the break time, honestly, that is such a good tip. And I completely do that all the time. A lot of the time and I can imagine for distance learners, it can be really easy for a thought like, oh, I need to wash the dishes, or, oh, I have to do my laundry. Those little things, those little reminders that pop up in your head while you're studying, just jot them down so you don't forget them. But you also don't have to get up and attend to it right in that moment, can help you stay focused. And so, sliding on into break, our brains can only handle so much in a given amount of time. So as we are kind of clustering together our study sessions and saying, okay, I'm reading for biology for 30 minutes. Give yourself a 10-minute break to help, just refresh and make sure your brain's not getting exhausted. It helps with actually memory when you give yourself a break. So you're able to remember more if you are, giving yourself 5-10 minutes. And honestly, as a 22-year-old, I use my break time just to aimlessly scroll through Instagram or to send a text message or things like that, where I'm like, okay, I do this in my day-to-day life, but I could really be efficient with my time by specifically giving my break times moments to disconnect from my schoolwork and just do something that, is that I usually do, but now I'm actually planning it in my day. So I'm not doing it, and getting distracted by it.
So it sounds like you feel like good, like, okay, I can enjoy my social media time, but I'm just doing it when it's a time that works when I get the rest of the stuff done too.
Yeah, and I don't have that guilt afterwards, like, oh, I just spent 30 minutes on Instagram liking pictures and scrolling until there's nothing left, so
Yeah.
it definitely feels a lot better to actually have, utilize my break time for, Instagram scrolling or reading a book for fun, things like that, sending a text message to a friend, different
Getting
things.
A drink, maybe taking a stretch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, utilizing those break times so that it's not, constant studying. It gives your mind a memory break so that you can actually learn better.
Yeah, no, I know that's one of the reasons I really like the focus study session is it's based off of the knowledge of neuroscience and how the brain and the memory works. And that's why the recap step is next. And so when you have that break and you reorient your focus away from what you were working on, then you go and you recap. And that basically means you do a high level review of what did I go over and what did I accomplish. If there are things that you need to check for accuracy, you do that. Or if it's a time where you want to kind of ask yourself, almost kind of generally test yourself, do I know this? What is it that I accomplished in the last 30 to 50 minutes? Giving yourself a chance, your brain a chance to kind of move that information from the short term working memory more into the long term the long term memory. And so it's just a powerful way to be efficient with your time. You're spending a little bit more time in the front end, but then it helps you actually move information over into your long-term memory in the long run. And then Kaylee will share the last step with us.
Yeah. So, the last one is you choose what you do next. So you can either continue studying. Maybe you had a lot to do for biology, so you need another 30-minute session to do chapter 2 or something. Or you could take another break, clear your head again, go wash your dishes, do your laundry, whatever, attend to whatever you might have written down on your container of distractions, or you could change subjects. Maybe you're all biologied out and you need to switch to psychology or go to, your journalism, something like that. But you really get to choose if you want to continue studying and continue this cycle through, in your plan stage. If you had more things to do, then here you would just switch to another thing or complete the thing you were just working on. And that is the focus study session. You can use any pieces of those. I would definitely recommend not only using the break section, but also using the study and recap and planning as well. But yeah, that is what our focus study session is all about.
One of the things I like to encourage students when we're working together is just consider yourself a little bit of an experimental scientist. Like, try this, like pick one subject, pick one cycle and just kind of see what it's like and compare it to what your experience before using it was like. And maybe then consider using it on a couple of different types of subjects and see how it fits differently with different types of learning. And then listen to yourself and listen to the answers. And I think that you'll get to see as you experiment and as you're intentional with using this tool, it can really make a meaningful difference in your learning. It gives you that platform to know am I learning this? And it gives you that structure to check in with yourself more consistently to know, is this really getting me what I'm really wanting? Because you know what? All of us, we could sit in front of a computer for 5 hours, but just because we're sitting there does not mean we're learning efficiently. And a tool like the focus study session can help us really determine, am I learning efficiently? So for the remainder of our session, we're just going to go over kind of quickly a few basic tips. I mean, a lot of these tips could be broken down a lot more in detail, and we would be happy at the end to answer questions or independently in a coaching session, kind of talk around these things with you. But these are just, now that you have kind of the broad framework of the learning tool, what are the other tips? What are the other tools that you want to consider to maximize the rest of your life as it relates to your learning? So the first thing that we're going to do is talk about identifying your roles and your goals. Think about, what are the different roles that you play in your life? Are you a pet owner? Are you a parent? Are you a partner? Are you a roommate? Are you a soldier? Are you an employee? Are you a volunteer? I mean, there's probably a limitless number of roles that each of us hold. And I have no doubt that you as an online learner are holding multiple roles. And each of those roles have responsibilities and goals. And so if you're able to specifically identify and say, and maybe even write down what those things are, then that's going to give you more power, more choice to determine how you meet those roles and how you meet those goals. Because you're not just a student, you are a parent, you are an employee, you are a soldier, you are all of these things. And so when you're thinking through your time management, the more you identify and define, the more you can more effectively plan. And then the second piece that we want to hit on is that you got to intentionally build your success team, especially when you're an online learner, but just in general, all of us get to the finish line, not as one, but as a team. And you have important people and resources in your community that can be a part of your team. And it's important to give ourselves permission and task ourselves with building that team. So examples of building a team could be connecting with other classmates. They are part of your academic resource. It could be connecting with your professor or your integrated success coach. They could be a part of your team. We use a model in our coaching sessions called 3-to-1, the 3-to-1 resource plan. And that means there's like 3 legs to a stool. One of those legs is the academic leg. The other leg is that well-being leg, and that really pretty much involves anything related to your well-being. And then access to resources is the third leg. And that includes like anything and everything that the other 2 don't include, whether that's financial, whether that's career, whether that's transportation, whether that's basic needs. So kind of working through, what are those resources and what are those people that you need to have as a part of your team? Because I know the reality is many of you are sitting and you're doing your online work when you also have responsibilities as a parent and when you also have responsibilities as an employee. And no doubt those are very high responsibilities and priorities for you. And so what are the resources and what are the team members that you can bring into your situation to help you be both an effective student and an effective employee and parent?
Yeah, so the next one is pretty easy. So just know and monitor your use of time. That's another way to be more efficient and effective, is realizing, like I said earlier, if I spend 30 minutes on Instagram, I could just honestly journal about how I'm spending my time. So, going through my day, writing down, okay, 30 minutes on Instagram after brushing my teeth, and then watched Netflix, and then went to class. And, when you monitor your use of time, then you can spot check and say, okay, maybe I should not spend 30 minutes on Instagram to start my day. I could actually spend that 30 minutes reading a book that I like, or doing some homework, or reviewing before class starts, things like that, where as long as you're able to see it on paper and say, wow, like I really do spend hours on my phone, not doing anything productive, you can spot check and then change your habits. And then last, same thing, identify your time wasters and work to reduce them. So once you've journaled out how you spend your day, how you spend your 24 hours, recognizing, okay, what could be traded out for something more productive? What could be completely cut out, and what could be added to help me make it through the day? So those are, two other tips for time management.
Making planning a practice habit. What do I mean by that? So, like we've talked about, life changes and responsibilities change, we change. And so there's never an immediate finish line. So the opportunity to be intentional about routinely planning, and that means making a practice of connecting with your time, whether that's connecting with your phone and a calendar, whether that's connecting with a calendar on the wall, whether that's connecting with your Canvas list on a daily basis. But in other words, what are the checkpoints of planning throughout your day, your week, and your months? How can you develop them as a practice? One of the things that I feel like is really important is, what does the word practice mean? It means that you're getting better at something. It means that there's no absolute perfection. And to be quite honest, some of us, myself included, can get really tripped up on the idea, well, it didn't happen perfectly the way I put it in my calendar, so I just might as well stop. I don't know about you, but the times when I stop, then it ends up kind of crashing on my head much worse than if I had just kind of gone forward with the imperfections. And I think, bringing that mindset of being a learner and a practicer of time management can be really, really helpful. Because when you do that, then you can notice things. You can notice where you can make little tweaks. Like, for example, the second or the next tip on this slide is to use unexpected downtime for small tasks. I mean, how many times do you have a situation where you're in your car, or you're waiting on a professor, or you're waiting for, some type of service provider to show up, and you've got an extra 10 minutes or 5 minutes? How could you use those little pieces of time in a way that's intentional for yourself? Whether that's, I want to flip through some of my Quizlet notes, or whether that's, I want to write down my grocery list for grocery shopping this coming week. But basically, instead of coming at it with kind of a fixed, perfect mindset about how everything should be exactly laid out, if we bring a growth, flexible mindset to practicing our planning, that can help us to boost our efficiency as we move forward.
Yeah, and so, more tips. Prioritize important tasks first. That seems like a given, but sometimes, as we kind of mentioned earlier, we can be productive procrastinators, where if we have a test to study for coming up in 2 days, sometimes we just have to do the laundry now, or we have to wash our dishes now, or we have to, do things that aren't our top priority, but can distract us from our true priority at the given time. And then last, just give your peak performance times to your highest priorities. So if you know that you're a morning person and you love getting up early to start your day, you study before you do anything else, then making sure that if your top priority is to study for an upcoming exam, you're doing it in the morning when you feel really well, when you're motivated, when you're pumped up. For others, it might be the afternoon, giving, all your energy at 4 p.m. Your energy is just at the top of the mountain, and you're like, I can do this. I'm motivated. Let me start studying. So, again, something we really promote in coaching is knowing yourself and knowing what works best for you. And so just kind of being curious about, okay, what would happen if I did start studying at 10 in the morning? What would happen if I did 3 in the morning? When do I feel most motivated? Not 3 in the morning, sorry, 3 in the afternoon. I mean, if you want to do 3 in the morning, you can, but I doubt you'd want to. But, just kind of being curious about what time of day do I feel most motivated, and when do I feel the best and like my brain isn't too super cluttered or anything like that, so that I can, give my attention to these priorities of mine.
So in order to help you do this, this is a tool that you can Google online, or we'd be happy to send it to you. And it's just the matrix of urgency and importance. And I don't know about you, but I'm a visual person. And so if something is very important and it's very urgent, you do it and you do it then. If something is important, but the urgency is lower, then you schedule it, you put it on that calendar. If the urgency is low, if the urgency is high, but the importance is lower to you, then you ask somebody else, you delegate it. Or finally, if the urgency is low and the priority is low, those tend to be another way to say eliminate is like the time wasters. Like those are the things that you just get rid of, or you put at the very bottom of the list. I guess the thing about prioritization and time management is it's rolling, it's dynamic. And so like knowing that it's okay to shift and move things around the matrix is an important kind of process. And so you might consider downloading something like this and then putting it on the back, like your background for your computer. You might print it out and use it as a matrix for like writing the different like weekly tasks that you have, or you could use this on a daily basis. But really kind of considering visually how you want to prioritize what's going on. So those are kind of the overview of some of the tips that we wanted to share. Now we wanted to kind of show more specifically what it looks like to make an integrated success coaching appointment. And Kaylee did a wonderful job of explaining a little bit about it. So here is our website. And like she mentioned, if you just Google Integrated Success Coach UKY, you'll come up to our website and you can see it gives an overview of all of the different parts. And it also gives you the option of how to schedule an Integrated Success Coach appointment. And you can do it through your My UK tab. And here you can see, you just log in with your link blue and you select student services, then you go down to select my info, and then you go down to the bottom of the page and it is the student success coaching, and you click on that, and then you'll be given the option of what coaches and what times are available. I will say that right now, towards the end of the semester, we do tend to be pretty full. So getting an immediate appointment is not like next week immediate is probably going to be a little bit harder, but we have appointments then the following weeks. So definitely if you have an immediate question, you can always email us and reach out. My email is melinda.humbert@uky.edu. And Kaylee, do you want to share yours?
Yes, mine is kaylee.palomino@uky.edu. And one thing that I did want to add, when you go to the student success coaching, there will be different types of coaches. We have some career coaches. We have, are there wellness coaches, I believe? And then we have academic life skill coaches. And so that's where Melinda and I fall, is through the academic life skills. Of course, we can cater to the many things that I listed earlier, but we are more so focused with academic, like I said, but we can cater to other things too. So there are different types of coaches that you can have access to as well through the same.
The reason that integrated coaching exists is because we hope for students not to have to go to multiple appointments and multiple people. We want for you to have one place where you're able to connect with coaches and know that you can talk with the same coach for a range of issues over a period of time. But if you do want somebody who's a little bit more focused or specialized in wellness or academics or leadership, then you have that option of reaching out and making an appointment directly with that coach. So we have covered a lot this morning. I can imagine you may have some questions. I just wanted to take a moment to give you the opportunity to put your questions in the chat. What are the things that you would like to know about, or how do you see this working for you? Oh, you're welcome, Bobby. Thank you. We encourage you, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'd be happy to kind of talk with you in terms of how you can make this individualized to your own own needs and your own learning. If there aren't any other additional specific questions, we will wish you guys a wonderful morning, and we just hope for the best as you continue in your journey towards efficient and effective learning and living. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Have a great day.